Hello and welcome to the Alumni House podcast. My name is Matt.
I'm the Quacker.
Quacker, how you doing today?
Doing good. Christmas Eve. It's we're right here.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
best time of the year.
yeah. It is good time of year. Do me a favor, turn your mic up just a little bit for me. So today's going to be a little bit of a shorter episode, and as Quacker said, this is Christmas Eve, so we are not going to dwell on too much. However, we are going to go through the games. Of course, Quacker and I we only had one game where we did not agree. Quacker got that one right. I got that one wrong. We were all correct. All three of us were correct. I'm sorry. All two of us, because there are only two of us, were correct about two of them, and both missed one. So, of course, that was Quacker picked Alabama to win. I picked Oklahoma to win. And it's actually Quacker's fault that Alabama won, because when the game was 17-0, Quacker texted me, and my first reaction internally was, I'm not responding to this, because if I do, Alabama's going to come back and Oklahoma's going to blow this lead. And I didn't respond, and they still did it. So first game of the weekend looked like a blowout, and then oddly enough, kind of had this weird turn where it wasn't a blowout on either side, but the game was non-competitive for the last few minutes. But it wasn't because Oklahoma had, because of the way the game had started. But Alabama figured out, whatever Oklahoma was doing, and they earned their way into the second round. So,
Yeah, there's all this talk surrounding this game about Kalen DeBoer, and a lot of it was about him possibly even going for Michigan, and he repeatedly said, "I'm staying here. I'm not going anywhere." But the noise wouldn't go away, and it's kind of died out since they won this game. But kudos to him and the team for being able to put that that away and just focus on the game itself, because that's a lot of distraction going on, and they just outside of that first 15 minutes of the game, they look really good. So um,
yeah.
it looked like it's gonna be a blowout for Oklahoma, and boy, it flipped in a hurry.
Yeah. So, I mean, it did, and there's not a whole lot to say about that. But congratulations to the Tide for making it through. All right, so these next two games we're not going to talk about. We're just going to mention them. So number 11, Tulane was being hosted by number 6, Ole Miss, 41-10. The game was never close. I think Ole Miss scored within the first 2 minutes of the game and never looked back. Little different story with James Madison. Oregon took a little while to get going, but not too terribly long. By the end of the first quarter, they were starting to pull away. By the end of the second, It was not close, and the final in that one was 51-34, which kudos to JMU for scoring at the end, but that's a little bit convoluted, because they scored 14 in the fourth quarter and Oregon scored 3. So Oregon was clearly backing off, didn't have their starters in. So not much to talk about there. There's one game that we are going to talk a lot about. This is a game that Quacker and I talked about the most probably going into the week, and Quacker and I both thought A&M would win the game. However, Quacker was more on the fence than I was in terms of Carson Beck's effectiveness. But what's weird is that not only was he right about, right in that, I thought I thought the game was over by halftime. I thought A&M was just going to walk them silly. So not only did they not do that, Beck wasn't really a factor at all. You were saying on the text message, it was weird. It wasn't that he was good or bad. He was just kind of not a factor. like had nothing to do
Hmm.
with the game almost.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, he was just the person handing the ball off. Is all he was. I mean, that was. I don't think he had 100 yards in the game, uh, passing. This was this really came down to the wind affected this game quite a bit. I mean, you saw um, that first field goal that Miami missed. I mean, it got almost to the goalpost and it banged a Yui. I mean, it just all of a sudden,
yeah, I
you know,
think
it
what
made a big turn. And
kickers were what, one or two of six in this game, or two of seven.
something like that. Yeah,
Yeah,
it was crazy. I mean, the second field goal he missed, he just missed it. It was never close. But you know, it comes down to Miami's defense was better in this game. They turned Marcel Reed over. Um, and I had not realized this because I had not watched a ton of A&M this year, but apparently this was several games in a row that Reed had multiple turnovers. Of course, the Texas game, it bit him in that one, and then of course it bites him in this one. So, you know, that last drive, I mean, he drove him right down the field and then throws an interception in the end zone um, to seal the game for Miami. You know, this Miami defense, it's a lot better than I thought it was. Like I thought they were decent, but I mean they strangled the run game and the pass game for the most part in this one.
yeah, I definitely don't think it's a lot better. I mean, I think they played well, but A&M moved the ball. Like that's the thing. A&M just couldn't get points. Um, but when you look at let's see here. All right, so I'm pulling up the. Yeah, I mean, so Marcel Reed only had 27 yards rushing. He's the quarterback, but he threw for 237. Um, and I'm trying to see. Miami's defense got looks like 3 sacks. I mean I don't know that the numbers were all that much different. I think what they did is they stifled the run game for A&M. None of their
Yeah,
running backs did very well. But I didn't watch that game and think Miami was better. I watched that game and felt like it was a game that was very even in terms of how the ball was bouncing. Miami just got one more
hmm
bounce. You know, that's literally how I
I
felt.
I really feel like the defenses were even in this one. Like both defenses played well. And into the second half, when Mark Fletcher for Miami, he started breaking off some big runs. Um, and he was really the difference for in this game was just his ability to run the ball. You know,
Yeah, but
it's
but if you look at their numbers, the total team rushing numbers. All right, Miami had
oh I know, yeah.
175 to 89 is not that big of a difference. And then total yards was 326 to 278 in favor of A&M. So
Hmm.
I get what you're saying. I think Fletcher had some big plays himself, but I didn't watch this game and feel like Miami was had the advantage in any way until the end of the game came, and they had more points on the scoreboard.
Yeah. Yeah, I felt like their offensive line played better in that second half than the Texas A&M defensive line did because they were moving the ball consistently in the second half. I mean, they weren't scoring, but they were moving the ball consistently, and it just you had that one drive where Beck had the touchdown pass, but it was just it was kind of a throwback game if you like defense. It was one of those where
Sure.
defense, both of them were standing up and they were making the stop when it counted most. And you know the wind, it definitely played a factor in this one. Because like those field goals, like I say, Miami had, I know at least one that was directly affected by the wind.
Well, they were all affected
Um,
by the win. The one that you said he missed badly, because he was overcompensating because he had just missed earlier. I mean,
yeah.
like even Pat McAfee was talking about that the day before on his show because they knew there was going to be a lot of wind, right? So they were
Hmm.
all affected by it. Even ones that you look at on TV, and if you're not a kicker, you think, "Oh, that wasn't affected," but it was. It was affected by it because of where they're trying to aim and what they're trying to do. You know,
Hmm.
so they were all directly affected by the win, and so that's the issue is that but and Elko mentioned that the win was affecting the passing game too. Crazy game, but as they say, everybody's got to deal with the same weather. So
Yeah. Yeah. This. I mean, it was one watching it. I mean, you were tuned in to the very end because it was nobody pulled away. Nobody was able to pull away. So it was compelling. It wasn't the most exciting game, but it was compelling.
yeah, yeah, no, I agree with you. I agree with you. So of course that sets up the following four matchups that Quacker will preview later in the week, possibly. Number 10, Miami will be the designated away team in AT&T Stadium in Arlington, otherwise known as Dallas. It's not really otherwise known as, it's a suburb of Dallas, but um, it's where the Cowboys play. And that, of course, is the Sugar Bowl, and that's
Cotton
Wednesday.
Bowl.
Sorry, I don't know. Yeah, okay, thank you. It's not a South or it's not a alumni house podcast unless Quacker gets to correct me live on air in front of everyone. So, and that's Wednesday the 31st, and then so a week from today, tomorrow, a week from tomorrow, Oregon will be hosted by Texas Tech in Miami for the Orange Bowl. And then Alabama will be hosted by Indiana. I don't know. I almost said Indiana. I don't know where that came from. For the Rose Bowl, and obviously that is always on January the 1st. So
Hmm.
that one's
And they get their Big
mid-afternoon.
Ten team,
They do.
the Rose Bowl. Yeah.
Well, yeah, they do. Which they do most years. The only years they don't are they usually get a Pac-12 or Big Ten team, but I think there's only been 1 or 2 years where they didn't have either of those representing them.
Hmm.
And of course that didn't even become a thing until the BCS started using that in their rotation. Before that, it was
Yeah.
always one of those. So.
Yeah.
And then the final matchup will be the Sugar Bowl, and that will be Georgia playing host to Ole Miss. That game also is on January the 1st. So, like the first round, there's one game in the evening the night before and 3 games the following day. So, I like all of these games to be pretty competitive. I'll give my quick picks because I'm not going to be with Quacker when he does the full in-depth analysis. So you can just take these and run with them. But I'm taking Ohio State, Oregon, Indiana, and Ole Miss to win the games.
Okay.
So, and we can compare that to your analysis as you go through them. But yeah, so any other thoughts from the first round? It's definitely more competitive than the last year's. I
Yeah.
felt like
Yeah.
it moved closer to what we need it to be. It's still not there, but it moved ever so close. Like like the first two. It's like you said, the first 2 games were worth watching. The second 2 weren't. How they did the time slots, I think, was bad. They've got to change. They've got to make some adjustments there on that. Because the way the way it wound up happening was the worst two games were the primetime, games on Saturday.
Yeah.
So, and of course there's some element of you don't know what you don't know, so you don't know how these teams are going to play against one another. But I think you're fairly certain that when you have Oklahoma, Alabama, Texas A&M, and Miami, and then Oregon, JMU, Ole Miss, and Tulane, I think you're fairly certain which games are going to be competitive and which ones aren't.
Yeah.
Within a certain degree of likelihood, and so, I hope they make some tweaks there. But I really felt like this first round was a lot more had a lot more positive than last year's first round did, for sure.
Yeah. And we still had some weather effect in this year. Like, last year it was the cold. This year it was the wind.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'll always remember that Ohio State Tennessee game, just how brutally cold it was, and seeing the quarterback for Tennessee, his helmet shatter when he got hit. I mean, that was one of those things, like, you're just like, wow, it is really, really cold out there. And Ohio State players a little more used to it than Tennessee players. But I don't think anybody's all that used to it, but still.
Right.
But then, this year you had the wind in the A&M Miami game, so that was, you still had some kind of weather effect. But we didn't have any of the cold weather games. I mean, it was fairly cool Friday night, but outside of that, everybody's wearing shorts and t-shirts in the stands.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah. So, and we'll see some more weird weather, I'm sure, in the next iteration. But yeah. So for that's a good wrap on the first round of the playoffs. Real quick before we go, we're not really doing this with every team, but give us a quick summary of the Southern Miss Bowl game from last night.
Yeah. So defense played well for Southern, especially in the first half. Actually both teams, their defense played well. It was 13-6 at the half. Second half, Western Kentucky had to change quarterbacks, and they were fortunate that they had a guy come in who started like 30 games for them. He got hurt earlier in the season, so they had a freshman playing quarterback for the last 6 games, and Southern was really rallying him. And then like this guy comes in, he's cool and collected, leads him on a couple touchdown drives, and Southern was there really able to get on the board. I think they scored once more. I don't know what the final score was. I know we lost, but it's kind of a bitter end to the season because it started out 7-2, lost the last 4 games of the season. But
did Will Hall coach in that game? Not
what game?
Sorry, not Will Hall. Sorry. Okay, I just had this weird. I just had this. I had this weird thing because Will Hall is now the new Tulane head coach, and I'm thinking,
right?
Did he go ahead and coach in the? Sorry, I conflated a couple of different seasons of football to ask you that question. So just disregard that. Disregard that.
No, Will Hall did not coach, but neither did Charles Huff. He's already left the program.
What I meant to ask was the new coach coaching in the game, which I was fairly certain they were not. I don't know why though.
Actually, he was.
He was coaching.
Yeah, because he was already on staff. He was the offensive coordinator.
Yeah, well,
so,
that was what I intended to ask when I asked if Will Hall's coaching, but it just was a happy accident since Will Hall was a coach at Southern Miss and not a very good one. So,
although he did lead us to our last bowl win, in 22.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that is another year down for the first round. We'll get back at you later in the week with with a preview, and then we'll be with you throughout the playoffs. So Quacker, did you have any final thoughts?
No, no. Everyone just have a Merry Christmas. Be safe.
Yeah, be safe for sure. Hopefully you'll get some cold. I think it's supposed to be in the 70s here, which is
Same.
a pretty serious bummer. I'll be on the road, so I won't have to deal with it as much, but it's annoying. All right. Well, yeah. So, Quacker, where can people find the show?
You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitch, all under Alumni House Podcast. And you can find us on X at Alumni House Pod.
Yep, and you can find our wait, hold on. You can find our personal tags. Look at that. That's 2 episodes in a row that I've been producing that I didn't put our tags up till the end, but they're there, so you can see them now. Yes, so you can find us at those tags below our faces. As always, thank you for joining us. Have a wonderful holiday. Merry Christmas. We'll see you next time.